On Unbossed, we've been saying we may be done with the pandemic, but the pandemic is certainly not done with us. And unfortunately, Moderna is looking to seize on that financially. Check out this headline. Moderna considers price of $110 to $130 for COVID-19. Commercial pricing is similar to Pfizer's plan for after government contracting ends. And this is coming from the Wall Street Journal. Yeah, you saw that right. You heard me right, just in case you're only listening, that these folks are planning to hike up the price for the COVID vaccine, knowing full well they should not be doing it. But greed knows no bounds. That's really what's happening here. Moderna is considering that hike right along with Pfizer, so they're not by themselves. Moderna CEO Stephanie Van Steele had the audacity to say the following, and I quote, "I would think this type of pricing is consistent with the value," end quote. How come you think the American people need to pay more than the federal government, Stephanie? That's the question we're asking. Why do you believe that? Yeah, but she said that. The federal government, which has handled procurement and distribution of the vaccines during the emergency phase of the pandemic, currently pay about $26 per vaccine dose. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, you heard that right. So Moderna wants to hike up the prices to between $110 and $130, similar to what Pfizer wants to do. The federal government is paying about $26 per dose, and these geniuses said, hey, it's worth that, meaning they don't care about whether or not they gouge to American people. And they're allowed to do this because there are no federal checks and balances. And all this despite the fact that we're dealing with another variant that could be a huge burden. Once again, we have a new variant that's XBB.1.5 is most transmissible, yet could fuel COVID wave. Now, Senator Bernie Sanders is putting his foot down, writing a letter. He wrote a letter to the Moderna CEO, and Senator Sanders called the price increases outrageous, and they are. The independent senator from Vermont and incoming chair of the Senate's Health Committee said such a steep price increase would make the shots unavailable for millions of uninsured Americans, potentially putting their lives at risk as COVID continues to spread. And Max, dare I say, not just their lives, not just the lives of the people who would not be able to afford it, the uninsured, there are underinsured people too who could not afford this. And this will have consequences for all of us because of the way that the COVID virus spreads.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, this is even worse because this is, remember, our vaccine. The taxpayers gave $10 billion to Moderna to help develop this drug. Moderna backed out of its agreement to share the technology to lower the price with other people, and is now saying that they want to charge 5 times as much to us for a vaccine that wouldn't exist without our taxpayer money. I mean, this is a company that made record profits, something like $20 billion worth of sales from this vaccine alone. And that's still not enough. And they still could not be clearer that they do not care if this hurts the fight against COVID. They do not care if people die as a result. This is about money, as it always has been.
Yeah, true that, Max. That is what it's about. And the federal government needs to jump in here, the carrot and the stick. And I want to see some stick coming from the federal government. This is really unpatriotic. Senator Bernie Sanders put this out in a tweet. When Jonas Salk invented the polio vaccine, he refused to patent it. That decision cost him an estimated $7 billion. When Stephanie Bancel, Moderna's CEO, got taxpayer funding for the COVID vaccine, he became a billionaire overnight and now is worth $6.2 billion. End this greed. Max, is exactly what you just said. And this is just a purely disgusting money grab by Moderna, a company that has already profited heavily from the pandemic. Moderna's COVID vaccine is the company's only commercially available product. The Boston biotech booked a profit of $12.2 billion in 2021, the first year of the vaccine campaign, and another $6.9 billion through September of 2022. America, listen, we got to put a stop to this. This is the type of crushing corporate greed that we're talking about. And this does have real in your face consequences for millions of people, not just in this country, but all over the world because we travel. And Max said it best. These people just do not care. But somebody ought to care, somebody with power. And that is the federal government. We did pay for this vaccine, and it is immoral what Moderna, Pfizer, and other companies are planning to do.